Hi, and welcome to my video on our SideNav and Flix Powerups by Thinkific expert Rob Galvin compatible together on your Thinkific Student Dashboard. So in this video, I'm going to talk a little bit more about SideNav, specifically in how it works with other Powerups, such as Flix ending to really maximize the student dashboard experience. If you want to learn more about SideNav and how it might be a great way to organize your all courses page, that is a video that you can check up here. That was last week's video where you can learn more about the SideNav in terms of the public-facing experience. But for purposes of this video, I'm going to go into your student dashboard, which is focused more on your internal student users and learners, to sort of talk about how that experience needs to match up and how you can sort of decide whether SideNav and Flix go well together. And the reason why I made this video, because a lot of people will have the Powerup Pass and they will see that all these Powerups are so powerful and so effective, and they're like, oh, I'm going to install them all. But the main thing I would recommend is before you install the Powerup, you want to sort of ask the question of what goal am I trying to accomplish? What am I trying to set up for my students, and what kind of experience do my students want? And when you have that kind of information, or what I like to call data, it helps inform these kinds of decisions much easier and much more easier as well. So with that said, I'm going to show you how SideNav and Flix look together on the student dashboard page, how I've set it up, and then the preview. And then I'll show you what it looks like when I just customize the SideNav menu on the student dashboard page. And the reason I want to do this is I want to kind of give you a side-by-side comparison so that you can determine for yourself what is the best experience for your students. I will also give some commentary and updates on how I feel about the two Powerups together, but ultimately the decision would be based on what you know about your students and what kind of experience that you want to create for them. So I'm going to already show you what's in my student dashboard page. And as always, you can access this in your Thinkific. If you go under Design Your Site, and then you click on Site Builder, and then you can look for your student dashboard page and then add the different sections. And so I'm not going to go too deep into how you add them because they're covered in my previous video. But so I want to show you how I've set up the menu, SideNav menu, the banners, and the cards, and then show you that I have Ding set up as a Powerup, and then I also have the Flix style sections set up here, and then give you a preview of what it looks like on the student dashboard live site, and then some commentary. So, and I'll also add timestamps, so this is, you can go back to specific sections. So first of all, I'm just going to quickly run over how I set up my menu. And so the idea behind the SideNav menu is that it's really designed to enhance the navigation. So if your business is primarily selling memberships, the idea with SideNav menu is that you can really enhance the content and organize it in a way that best meets the student's needs. So with the menu, I have the navigation set up so that there will be a top navigation, and then there is a menu group, which they will see, which shows these options here. Now, I would sort of recommend that if your course membership does not offer any certificates, to not show this, because otherwise it's not really relevant and it kind of doesn't really serve a purpose. But the main things I like to include in the navigation is the account, dashboard, password, billing, and orders, so that the students can see at all times the most important kind of billing and course-related orders that they have. And then you can also add additional categories to organize your content. And so what I've done is taken the categories and then added them so that that can be an option on the menu as well. And then the other section that I've added is auto communities. And so you can see that there's different options that I can choose, and it's really about sort of what meets the needs of my students. And so my whole focus is really about organizing the learning content, and then the posts, if I use Thinkific communities, then those are the ones that I would like to highlight. And as always, all of these sorts of headings and text can be customized. You can take students to a URL outside of Thinkific, or you can take them, if it's an upsell, specifically to a bundle page and or a course landing page, so that they can learn more and potentially continue to sign up for other courses. So that's a quick kind of overview of how I set up my SideNav menu. And then the other thing I added was this banner slider. So this wasn't here before, and so if I don't want this, as always, I can click on this and delete the section. But what I did was, by adding the banner, what I've done is added sort of these kinds of content teasers. So I always want to let my students know to check out the latest updates in our Facebook group. And then I also added a second image here to let people know about my upcoming program. And so this carousel is a very common, what we call it carousel style, because it's kind of a slider. It's very common what you see online, but it may or may not be effective for your students. Not many students sometimes like click through and look through all the information, but it still might be nice to sort of enhance the presence and really keep it at the top of students' mind. And then the last thing I want to cover about how I set it up was with cards. And so with cards, the idea is course cards, but we just shorten it and call cards. And so each card can be customized in terms of how it displays on here, so that you're not just showing the banner and the images and call to action, but you have an opportunity to upsell. And so the trick here is there's an upsell bundle all and upsell bundle any. And so upsell bundle any will show bundles that a student is not enrolled in. So if you are like, if I'm upselling this silver tier bundle and a student is not enrolled in it, then they will see that on the page. And so the idea really behind all this is continually marketing and selling your business, and upselling it in a way that's not sort of too obvious, but also just keeping it at the top of students' mind. And then, as always, these headings and text can be customized. And so that's what's really powerful about these Powerups, is they really allow you to get really knee-deep into personalizing the student dashboard experience. And so if and all of this is just default text, and you can change it as well. And then the same thing there, I'll show you this filter headings at the top of the navigation when the students are logged in. And then the last thing I want to remind and kind of touch upon is that the cards, anytime the course cards are shown, they can take students either to the landing page, or they can resume from where a student had left off. And then you can decide if you want the course cards to have a text under the image, or if the image already has text, then just specifically the image only. So there's a lot of interesting ways and neat ways that you can really personalize and take these Powerups and make it very distinct for your Thinkific student dashboard. And so now, and then the other thing I want to then show you after I quickly touch upon the setup. Let me just quickly save. And then the last thing I want to touch upon is that I have the Flix and Ding set up. So now then I'm going to preview the student dashboard so that you can see how all of this in the back end looks like in the front end. And so if you're ever wondering what the best way to test this, you can go into Design Your Site, go into Theme Library, and then click on these three dots here, click on Edit Code. Now, just to be really careful, I'm on a partner account, so this isn't a live site. So I would only recommend this if you know you're very, conscious and you don't plan to touch the code. And then I'll click on Site Pages, and I'll scroll all the way down, look for my student dashboard, and then I can preview that. And So now you see I am in my preview of the student dashboard, and this is kind of how I've set it up with the categories. So I wanted to focus on organizing all the content so that it displays sort of the category tracks, because if I'm selling a membership and I have different sort of learning tracks that I want students to progress through, I want them to be able to access it easily here. Now, as always, the word categories can be changed to learning tracks if you want. I'm just kind of giving you some examples. And then if I wanted to tease bonuses, then I can I created this section of course bonuses so that if students wanted to really further their learning, they can access these additional bonus materials here. And then the basic account access in terms of like login, orders, passwords, etc. is all here. So then I have this video which kind of can be set up as a overview and kind of like a onboarding video. And so that's primarily my SideNav navigation. And then I have this banner here. And so I have what you saw earlier about the Facebook group, and then you sign up to be notified about an upcoming launch. And so that's the cool thing is this slider is really fun, but I don't know if it works for every sort of learn. So you have to determine if that works for your students. And then as you see, I've installed Flix as well, so that if a student is in here, they'll see this big banner and then they'll see where they left off. Now, my only sort of concern, my biggest concern, I should say, not only, my biggest concern is that this is not the most user-friendly and ideal kind of navigation for your students who are in a membership program, because there's just a lot of overwhelming information on the page. Like the navigation is great on the side, but in the front end, if you think about this whole section here, this page, there's just a lot of information and a lot of students tend to get overwhelmed. So with that said, I really do not recommend installing SideNav and Flix because they're really two kind of separate experiences and they really do not mesh well together. They kind of create a very overwhelming look, and overwhelming doesn't always lead to higher engagement. And then the other thing I want to talk about is from a user experience lens, we also know that students tend to get overwhelmed with content. And when students are overwhelmed and frustrated, they tend to not be as engaged. So you kind of have to then think about then restructuring this page so that it really meets the needs of your students. Now I'm going to show you what it looks like when I remove Flix and really just focus on the navigation in the menu and this banner to optimize the student dashboard experience. Okay, so now I'm going to show you my student dashboard again. I've removed the Flix style settings so that the only thing left is the auto resume and or auto suggest, along with the side nav menu navigation and the ding sidebar. So now that I've removed it, let's just preview what it looks like on my student dashboard site. So this is my student dashboard now that I removed the Flix style settings. Now, I really like this so much better because it's a lot simpler and I want to really reduce the amount of scrolling, because what happens with the other example is that students, when they see a lot of information, they tend to scroll. And with this side nav and the auto resume, even if I'm in a membership, I can tease all these different sections like the accounts, my account information, the learning tracks, and then any course learning bonuses, and then use the banner to sort of highlight updates and then any upcoming launches. And then this is where my students leave off and they can see that they've left off with this specific course and then resume. So then that's really sort of my conclusion, is that I do not recommend you install and set up SideNav and Flix together because they are very two different experiences and it can be really kind of overwhelming and frustrating for the students. So I hope this video helps. I wanted to sort of show that A/B test and help you sort of work through those questions of what does your student dashboard experience look like and what would you like to accomplish. So I hope this helps. Stay tuned again for next week's video. I'm going to show you a little bit more about the different ways that you can continue to expand the SideNav navigation for your Thinkific Student Dashboard. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.